Have you ever wondered why, despite a healthy diet and an active lifestyle, you still wake up 3 times a night to go to the bathroom? Why do you feel like your blood flow is getting weaker each month? Why do these urgency needs come at the worst times? Is it due to age? Or is there something you do every day that is secretly making your prostate worse? Here's what might surprise you. It's not always what you don't do, but what you do without realizing how detrimental it is. Most men over the age of 60 make these sneaky mistakes every day, believing they are making healthy choices because they have always been told that certain habits are normal and even beneficial. Here's the truth that no one talks about: not all habits are safe for aging men. In fact, certain daily routines can slowly enlarge your prostate, triggering nighttime cravings, worsening inflammation, and making simple activities impossible, like sitting down to watch a movie. So-called healthy habits can actually be detrimental to your sleep and self-esteem. As we age, our bodies change, our hormones change, our circulation weakens, and the routines that once worked for us may now be working against us without us even realizing. They may seem harmless, they may seem normal, but they contain hidden triggers of inflammatory compounds and circulatory disorders that affect hormonal balance, create internal pressure, and gradually enlarge your prostate. The worst part of all this: the damage happens slowly, subtle, and undetected until one day you're faced with the constant urge to urinate, painful urination, or the horrible feeling of never completely emptying your bladder. Today, I am going to reveal to you the 8 most dangerous habits that every man over 60 has to stop immediately, especially if you want to protect your prostate from enlargement, discomfort, and long-term dysfunction. None of these habits seem dangerous. You will never look at your daily routine the same way again after learning the truth, so stay with me till the end. If you value your independence and if you want to continue spending comfortable nights peaceful and confident, your body is probably waiting for this alarm signal. But before we start, click subscribe and turn on notifications if you care about your health, because we are going to reveal the truth that no one is talking about. And I need to know if you are with me. If you are watching this video right now and you find it interesting, please type 1 in the comments section. If not, type 0. Your opinion is more important than you think. Let's start with the first habit on our list. It is praised for its natural and healthy character, but for men over the age of 60 years old, the effect is the opposite. Let's talk about ignoring your thirst habit, one of the dehydration traps. Ignoring your thirst and still getting dehydrated sounds harmless, even smart, especially when you're tired running to the bathroom every hour. But here's the catch: while many men think that cutting back on fluids will give them relief, it can actually be secretly harming their prostate health. You know, dehydration causes urine to become concentrated and acidic, and concentrated urine is not as harmless as it sounds, especially if you're over 60. As we age, our bladder and prostate become more sensitive. Although it seems logical, avoiding water exposes your urinary system to concentrated toxins. How does it work? This causes a burning sensation. The delicate tissue around the prostate and bladder is damaged by the constant irritation over time. As inflammation increases, the healing blood reaching your prostate decreases, and you know what causes it: a constant urge to urinate, burning sensation. When urinating, swelling occurs, which causes a tight feeling or a constant feeling of not being able to empty your bladder completely. But that's not all. Dehydration is not only concentrated, it is also acidic. This acid can irritate the prostate, especially if you already have an enlarged or inflamed condition. It fans the flames that are already burning like gasoline on a fire. Some men even find that their symptoms worsen after days of being dehydrated. You should also be aware that if you are taking medication, especially diuretics or antihypertensives, dehydration can make these medications are either too strong or not effective enough. But the most dangerous thing is dehydration has no real side effects. There is no immediate warning. Instead, the pain builds up slowly until you realize you can no longer sit comfortably as you used to. The saddest thing is most men don't know that their habit of avoiding going to the toilet can cause prostate symptoms to get worse every year. What can you do? You don't need to drink too much water, but you should drink regularly, daily, especially if you feel like you always need to urinate or have pelvic discomfort for no reason. The damage is subtle but very real. Something as simple as dehydration can be very harmful to the prostate as you age. What about the next habit? Comfortable, calming, and known to provide calm, but it can put pressure on your prostate in ways you never imagined. Let's talk about sitting for long periods. of time the habit of 2 pressure chambers sitting for hours without moving is comfortable and feels natural. As we age, we are told to take a break to relax, but there is a hidden truth behind it. In men over the age of 60, sitting for long periods of time can create a pressure chamber around the prostate. Sitting for long periods of time puts constant pressure on the pelvic floor. When you sit for hours, your blood circulation slows down, and you are putting pressure on the area where your prostate is located. If this happens repeatedly, blood circulation is compromised, inflammation increases, and your prostate suffers. You may feel a dull heaviness in your pelvic area after long periods of sitting, difficulty urinating after a period of inactivity, a strange feeling of tightness around your groin or stiffness in your lower back associated with discomfort when urinating. But that's not all. Sitting too long also weakens the pelvic floor muscles, which actually control the bladder and support the prostate. This leads to incomplete bladder emptying, urinary retention, and constant irritation. The effects are silent. You think you are resting and taking care of your body. Instead, you are gradually creating an environment conducive to prostate enlargement. The worst part is you won't notice it straight away, but over time a sedentary lifestyle can make urination more difficult and create increased pressure in your pelvic area. Consider your daily sitting habits. If you are experiencing frequent urination accompanied by a feeling of urgency or pelvic pressure, that comfortable chair may not be all it seems. But what if something you hold dearest could be causing this damage? If sitting can have such an effect, imagine what your morning ritual could be doing to your sensitive prostate tissue. Let's talk about excessive caffeine consumption habits. Note 3 morning stimulant pitfalls. Excessive caffeine consumption. Morning coffee, afternoon tea, or energy drinks that are so loved, the taste stimulating, aromatic, energizing, and part of your daily ritual. Most men don't realize it. Men over 60 can experience mild bladder irritation, the urge to urinate, and prostate stress from caffeine. Why? Because caffeine contains a powerful diuretic compound that stimulates the bladder. As we age, our bladder becomes more reactive to irritants. It no longer reacts to stimuli in the same way. Despite its energizing effects, caffeine affects your urinary system by causing a double whammy of irritation and increased urine production. This triggers an emergency surge. The sensitive muscles around the bladder and urethra become overstimulated. Over time, pressure builds up in the prostate area, causing sudden and urgent urges that come out of nowhere. A feeling of nervousness around the bladder, pain after drinking coffee, frequent urination within 1 hour of caffeine consumption, difficulty controlling the urge when it happens, real or unpleasant feeling that your bladder is never completely relaxed. But that's not all. Caffeine is not only a diuretic, but also a stimulant. This stimulation can cause muscle tension around the prostate, especially if your prostate is already enlarged. This contracts muscles that should remain relaxed to allows for comfortable urination, as if you were wrapping a belt around an already sensitive area. You should also be aware that if you are taking prostate medication, especially alpha blockers, caffeine can interfere with their effectiveness, making your symptoms worse, direction, or unpredictable. But the most dangerous thing is that caffeine effects on the prostate do not cause immediate and noticeable pain. Instead, they slowly accumulate until you notice that your urges are becoming more frequent and less easy to overcome. The saddest thing is that most men do not know that their morning energizer ritual can contribute to the urinary urgency they experience during the day. What can you do? You do not have to eliminate caffeine completely, but you should reduce your intake, consume, and monitor your habits, especially if you suffer from increased urinary urgency. Overstimulation is subtle but very real. A common substance like caffeine can cause many problems with prostate aging. What about the next habit? It tastes delicious and is loved for its lively spices, but it can cause inflammation in your prostate every time you eat. Let's talk about spicy foods. Habit 4 speeds up inflammation. Often eating spicy foods and processed foods, they are delicious, filling, and make meal times more enjoyable. We are told that spices have health benefits and boost metabolism. But here is the shocking truth: for men over the age of 60, eating spicy foods regularly can trigger prostate inflammation. Spicy foods and processed meats contain powerful irritants and inflammatory compounds soon after eating. Your digestive system processes the substances, these irritants, and your body responds with increased inflammation throughout your body. When this happens regularly, blood flow to the sensitive area is compromised, and your prostate bears the brunt of this inflammatory response. You may experience a burning sensation when urinating after eating spicy food. The urge to urinate within a few hours of eating changes to an uncomfortable burning sensation in the pelvic area after certain foods or general pelvic discomfort associated with your diet. However, the damage doesn't stop there. Processed foods also disrupt the balance of hormones responsible for prostate health. This causes metabolic stress, increased inflammatory markers, and progressive prostate enlargement. The effects are delayed. You think you are enjoying delicious food and living life to the full. Instead, you may be gradually triggering inflammation that enlarges your prostate. The worst part is it doesn't cause pain right away. Over time, a diet rich in inflammatory foods can make urinating more uncomfortable and cause internal irritation. Think about your last meal. If you frequently experience heartburn, the urge to urinate, or a burning sensation in your pelvis after eating a delicious meal, this may not be as harmful as it seems. But what if something more fundamental is causing this internal distress? Imagine what your body's natural signals could be telling you about hidden damage. Let's talk about ignoring your body's signals. Habit F5. Delay stress. Peeing when you feel the need sounds convenient. You are busy in a meeting, driving, or you just want to leave it alone. Most men do this regularly without thinking about it, but the fact is that in men over the age of 60, holding in your pee regularly can create dangerous pressure that gradually damages the prostate. Delaying urination creates internal pressure and overstretching of the bladder. When you delay emptying your bladder, pressure increases throughout your urinary system, and your body uses the muscles and tissues that support prostate health. When this happens repeatedly, the muscles around your prostate become overworked, inflammation increases, and the prostate is under constant stress from the pressure. You may experience sharp pain in your pelvic area after finally urinating, an unpleasant feeling of fullness that does not go away even after emptying your bladder, difficulty starting to urinate after holding your pee for too long, or a persistent feeling of not being able to empty yourself completely. But that's not all. Holding in your pee also allows bacteria to grow in the stagnant urine, creating an environment conducive to infection, which directly irritates the prostate. This leads to increased inflammation, tissue irritation, and accelerated prostate enlargement. The cumulative effect: you feel handy and manage your time effectively. Instead, you may gradually create the conditions for chronic prostate problems, the most dangerous of which is damage from urinary retention. Incontinence does not cause immediate and severe pain. There are no obvious signs that you are hurting yourself. Instead, the symptoms gradually develop until you realize that you are having difficulty urinating and no longer feel the same sensation when urinating. The most tragic thing is that most men do not know that their practical habit of delaying urination can lead to progressive urinary tract problems that they experience as they age. What you can do: you do not need to obsess over bathroom breaks, but you do need to react quickly to your body's signals, especially if you are experiencing incomplete voiding, pressure, or pelvic discomfort. Internal damage occurs gradually, but is very real. If something as natural as holding in urine can be very dangerous, what about the next habit? This activity is socially relaxing and often seen as a way to unwind, but it can poison the blood flow to your prostate. Let's talk about smoking and exposure to smoke. The habit of traffic enemies. Smoking or being exposed to cigarette smoke regularly may seem socially relaxing or unavoidable in certain environments. Many men assume that if they have smoked for years without any visible prostate problems, they probably have nothing to worry about. But here is the painful fact: in men over the age of 60, systematic exposure to cigarette smoke can destroy the circulation that your prostate needs to stay healthy. Cigarette smoke contains chemicals that damage circulation and accelerate inflammation. Every time you're exposed to these toxins, enter your bloodstream and restrict blood flow to your most sensitive tissues, including your prostate. If this happens regularly, the oxygen supply to your prostate is disrupted. The natural healing process slows down and your prostate becomes more susceptible to hypertrophy and dysfunction. You may feel an urgent need to urinate after smoking or being around other people and smokers, a feeling of heaviness in the pelvic area after exposure to smoking, difficulty urinating, or general pelvic discomfort, which is made worse by tobacco exposure. But the damage doesn't stop there. Smoking also removes important antioxidants that protect prostate tissue from damage and aging. This leads to accelerated cell damage, increased inflammatory markers, and faster prostate damage. The effects are dangerous. You may think you are managing stress or enjoying your social life. The truth is you are systematically poisoning the blood flow that your prostate needs to function properly. The scariest thing is that the damage that smoke causes to blood circulation, prostate cancer, does not cause immediate and obvious symptoms. There are no obvious signs that you are damaging your urinary tract health. Instead, the damage accumulates over many years until you realize that your prostate problem has progressed far beyond normal aging. The saddest thing is that many men don't know that smoking or exposure to secondhand smoke can be a hidden factor that accelerates prostate damage. What can you do if you smoke? Seek help to quit immediately. If you are exposed to secondhand smoke, reduce your exposure as much as possible, especially if you notice your urinary symptoms getting worse. The damage to your prostate blood supply is real and potentially irreversible. Now, if something like smoke can systematically destroy prostate blood flow, what about the next habit? He feels comfortable avoiding conflict and can appear responsible, but it can allow dangerous problems to develop in secret. Let's talk about avoiding medical examinations.